What's up, everybody? My name's Big Cam and welcome back to another Comically Boston Monday morning podcast where every Monday we discuss the last week in nerddom. And this last week we had not too busy a week, but last night was the 98th Oscars, and we will be discussing the award winners and how that show went and who the big winner of the evening was, and if there was any snubs or not, but that will be towards the end of today's episode. We also have a little bit of Project Hail Mary, a little bit of that Scooby Doo live action, a little bit of Avatar The Last Airbender news. Anybody fans of that show from back in the day? Some movie theater news, some James Gunn DC news, and a little bit more of Daredevil Born Again, and then we'll jump into the Oscars, and that's just kind of how the show will run down. But let's not waste any more time for y'all. Let's jump right on into it, shall we? And the first topic of today I would like to discuss, because I believe this upcoming Friday, March 20th, Project Hail Mary, starring Ryan Gosling, will be hitting theaters, and it's getting great reviews, and it's supposed to be one of the biggest box offices of the year to, start the year out. And its Rotten Tomato score debuted with a 95% critic score with 40 reviews. And this movie's a little bit over 2.5 hours long, 2 hours 36 minutes, PG-13, and it has to do with space. There's going to be like a CGI / puppeted character named Rocky in the film, and Ryan Gosling in space. So like for me, I'm going to check it out just because I like Ryan Gosling. I find him funny, and I believe like coming off of the last project he did was like what, Barbie or maybe The Fall Guy. Either way, he always picks interesting projects, and even after this he has Project Hail Mary, and then he has Star Wars Starfighter that he's jumping into, and he's jumping into the Star Wars universe as well. So I'm not sure what this guy is going to be doing, but in this movie, I know this is based on an Andy Weir book, but for me, I'm going into it completely blind, and I think that's the way you probably should go into it. And I guess I'll maybe go check this out this weekend, and I'll have a movie review up for you guys next week. But moving on into the next topic, there was the live-action Scooby Doo series we talked about briefly last week, and I believe that was that McKenna Grace has been cast as Daphne, and she's, probably going to be the star of this live-action Scooby Doo series. But reports from Netflix last week said that Walter Hauser is being eyed to play Scooby-Doo's owner in the live-action Scooby-Doo series, and everyone was like, Scooby-Doo's owner? Do you mean Shaggy? Or are we gonna find this live-action Scooby-Doo and he's going to be owned by somebody who's treating him poorly or something, and that's Walter Hauser's character? But if he's like a villain, just being like a character actor, Walter Hauser is great for that. But also if he's Shaggy, I think everyone pictures Shaggy as a skinny, tall guy, so if they want to subvert that expectation and make him a short, fat guy, I guess that would also be the case. I mean, it always didn't make a whole lot of sense that Scooby and Shaggy are constantly eating food, but Shaggy's skinny as a rail. You know what I mean? I think all of us Americans know the more you eat, the fatter you fucking get. So maybe they're thinking about it and being like, you know what, Shaggy should be a fat guy. And in comes Walter Hauser. And either way, if he's Shaggy or just playing Scooby's owner, which one do you think it is? I would think Shaggy is Scooby's owner, but maybe not. Maybe I'm mistaken. But moving on into some animated news, and growing up, I loved Avatar The Last Airbender with Avatar Aang, and on the left there you can see what the boyish figure looked like, and now we get an all grown up version of Team Avatar from the new Legend of Aang series that's going to be coming, I guess, to Netflix or somewhere. Maybe Nickelodeon, I don't know who has the rights these days, but either way, I know that Netflix was also making the live action Avatar, and I think season 2 of that comes out sometime this year. But you can see how Aang looks all aged up, and then the rest of Team Avatar. And I loved this image because there was individual photos of everybody, but I loved this image in particular because you could see our boy Appa and Momo are still up there in the background. But then you got Avatar Aang in the middle, and then Katara to his right, and Toph, and then to his left you got an older Sokka and Zuko. Oh man, I love Avatar The Last Airbender so much, and The Legend of Korra was like almost there for me growing up. Like that was like something that came out after, and I was like, oh my god, this is cool. It's in the same universe. I gotta watch. But then there was something about it where it was like set too far in the future, and they like kind of skipped past the Avatar stuff, and we were all like, what? We want to see what happened to Aang. You know, like we want to see much more of Aang. Aang was our boy. You know, we want to see Team Avatar. So I'm so glad the creative team is returning to this, and apparently there's going to be a new series coming called The Legend of Aang. So what is the Legend of Aang? What has he been up to? Has he just been an avatar being a beast? What's good there? I don't know. But comment your excitement down below for that. And then moving on into some movie news. And just the other day, Universal Pictures announced that they are going to be extending their theatrical windows for all of their films. Movies will now get a minimum of 5 weekends in theaters. So it's surpassing what, the 45-day window that was like the new norm, going back to maybe what things used to be like, and getting 5 weekends. So 5 different weeks that they're going to be able to get movies in theaters, and it will increase to 7 weekends in 2027. Interesting. So by next year, we're going to be having Universal Pictures that we won't have to go rush and see right away. You can take your time and get to it, because it will be a couple weekends that it will be there, you know? And it also says, though, that the new windows won't include focused feature films. So these are just like Universal Picture films. So, but extending to 5 weekends in theaters, this could mean, what, The Odyssey this year, potentially? So that's exciting, you know, if people want to be able to see that film and they want it to be stuck around for a long time. I mean, also, having it in theaters for a longer period of time, if people are still going to see it, that's why, like, Avatar, you know, James Cameron's Avatar is so profitable, because it stays in theaters for a long time. Like, I'm pretty sure you could still go see Avatar Fire and Ash right now if you wanted to, somewhere in the world and in theaters. And we're talking March. That movie came out over 3 months ago in December. So, you know, like, the longer stuff stays in theaters and audiences have a chance to go get it, the more money they could make, you know. Now, this next report is about James Gunn's next Superman sequel film titled Man of Tomorrow, and these reports came from The Hollywood Reporter, but maybe they talked to James, or they were talking to somebody, these characters' agents or something like that, but I normally don't trust it unless it comes from James Gunn's mouth, you know what I mean? But normally James is also pretty good about debunking fake news that's out there. So he didn't say this was fake, so I'm taking this as true, and the Hollywood Reporter is a pretty, you know, reliable source. So the reports are saying that Aaron Pierre will reprise his role as Jon Stewart after he debuts as the character in August's Lanterns HBO series, and he will be returning as Jon Stewart in Man of Tomorrow. Now, it doesn't say anything about Kyle Chandler, so should we be worried about his character potentially dying in Lanterns? Maybe, but Jon Stewart's who I want to see live on into the future DCU in Justice League and stuff anyways. So, you know, Superman and the Lanterns are going to be together in the next movie, but then it was also confirmed that Jimmy Olsen, Eve Tessmacher, and the Engineer are all returning for Man of Tomorrow, and those 3 are more, like, expected, you know, like the Daily Planet people I expect to be in the Superman sequel. People that were in the first film I expect to return. Lex Luthor, the Engineer, potentially Bizarro, but he did get pulled to like another universe, you know, Ultraman. So like, maybe we won't see him, but maybe we see him like down the road, you know what I mean? Like in the future. But I'm thinking this film is going to be much more about Brainiac and bringing other pieces into the puzzle, and like maybe Superman and Lex Luthor working together, but the Lanterns are also there, maybe some other people, maybe we tie in Peacemaker Season 2 into all this, you know what I mean? Like, the end of Peacemaker, who knows, maybe that ties into Lanterns or something. We also have Supergirl. I'm expecting Supergirl's movie to kind of tie into Man of Tomorrow as well. But I guess we'll have to wait and find out. But those characters all returning for Man of Tomorrow, I'm excited about. So comment below your thoughts. Now, last week there was a new Daredevil Born Again Season 2 promo trailer, and they just keep putting out more and more trailers. So now I'm at the point where we're less than a week away to Daredevil Born Again Season 2 premiering, so I have stopped looking at this stuff. I was just like, I'm not going to watch the full trailer. I can't. I'm already ready. I'm excited, so I'm just going to go into it. But I will talk about, this poster was Matt's poster that they released a couple weeks ago, and they did a Kingpin version of this poster that also looks good with the blood rain, the all-white suit, the red rose on the lapel of the front of the suit, Kingpin looking like a big old thick boy. But in the promo that they also put out, there's a little clip of Matt absolutely ripped. Like, he stands up, and Charlie Cox got in ferociously jacked shape for this season. And I don't know if this is like, my first instinct was like, oh, he's definitely, you know, either working out because he's got to fight this war and his body needs to be physically ready, so he's been like, you know, working out heavy and it's part of the story. Or our boy Matt has some sex scenes this season, and he as an actor was like, listen, if I'm going to be naked on screen, I got to be ripped as fuck, you know? But there's also ways to do sex scenes where they just kind of imply it, like in She-Hulk, where like, yeah, their clothes got taken off, but I don't think we ever saw them naked. We kind of just saw the clothes on the floor and they shut the door behind them type of shit, you know what I mean? But like, I don't know, is She-Hulk going to return in Season 2 of Born Again? I don't think so. I have a stronger feeling that She-Hulk will return in like Avengers Doomsday or Secret Wars rather than Born Again Season 2, as much as I would like to see her again, you know? But also, the most interesting thing from this trailer was that this image here, now it's blurry and it's a little out of focus, but the character in the background looks a lot like Wesley, I think Wellesley is a place in Massachusetts. Wesley is the character who died in Season 1? Or possibly Season 2, but I think it was Season 1 of Netflix's Daredevil, right? So he wasn't in Born Again Season 1, so if they're bringing this character back, he is probably a ghost, because we know Karen killed him. But if that's the case, is this season going to have a bunch of different characters that see ghosts? So Kingpin is seeing Wesley from his past. There is confirmed reports that Foggy is going to be, you know, Eldon Henson's character will be returning for Season 2. I have been on the hill that Foggy's not dead, but if they're showing Wesley in the trailer, maybe it's more of like a ghost from your past type of thing haunting you and trying to, like, you know, get to your conscious or whatever. So Wesley is in Kingpin's head, and maybe, you know, and Matt's on the other parallel of the side of things. Matt's thinking about Foggy and like he lost him. Maybe Frank's thinking about his little son going, get him, daddy. You know, I don't know. Like, but it's interesting nonetheless, you know. So that premieres March 24th, and I think it's just one episode, but maybe two as the first week, and then hopefully one episode per week going from there. Hopefully it's more than 6 episodes, but if it is just 6 episodes, I cannot wait to be covering Daredevil Born Again for the next month or so. So hopefully that brings us right into like April, May, June, and then we're getting like Spider-Man trailers, and Spider-Man Brand New Day is going to be coming up pretty soon. And we keep getting closer and closer to Spider-Man Brand New Day, and we have not gotten a trailer yet. So like, this is crazy that we haven't. Now, there was also rumors that the trailer should have been out and the trailer leaked, and then people thought the leaked trailer was ass, so now maybe they're panicking and redoing the trailer. I don't know, but I'm certainly interested in what's going on in the Marvel universe, but we'll be talking about that more in the weeks to come. So just to jump into the final topic of today, the 98th Oscar Awards were hosted by Conan O'Brien, and the set looked really good, and like the wide shot of like, they had the Oscars up top, and then they had like the best picture or best whatever was written on that, and then like they had 2 performances. One of them was I Lied to You with Miles Catton and the Sinners People. They did that early in the show, and that was actually really good. And then they did also a golden performance with the K-pop Demon Hunters people. But the host of the show was not even there. He was in London just kind of voicing over the show, and that's Matt Berry, so he was funny, but also doing his best to stay professional. And a bunch of presenters were there that were gorgeous. Rose Byrne, Nicole Kidman, Jimmy Kimmel had a funny one, doing documentary and calling shots at Trump, and his wife's terrible documentary. Delroy Lindo, who probably should have won the Oscar. Ewan McGregor was with Nicole Kidman, I believe. Wagner Moura of The Secret Agent. Pedro Pascal was with Sigourney Weaver doing a little Mandalorian and Grogu bit. Bill Pullman, Lewis Pullman did stuff together. Channing Tatum was out there, did a funny bit. Sigourney Weaver was with Pedro. Yeah, so, you know, like, I don't know about y'all, but I'm so here for the Oscars just to, you know, see the show, see what people have to say, you know, see what movies are winning, see what movies, you know, maybe one that I didn't see that, you know, will now spark it in my brain to be like, ooh, I gotta go see that. You know what I mean? Or stuff that I have seen, you know, and if I thought it was really good and then it ended up winning, you know, getting that satisfactory, like, yes, I knew that should have won. Or maybe you thought something else was more deserving and then they win and you're like, ooh, okay, let's hear their speech. Let's see if they, you know, are cocky about it, you know, when they squeaked out a victory, you know. But for the most part, people get up there and they're like, oh my God, this is so great, thank you. And then they, you know, shout out all the other people in their nominee category and be like, yo, listen, you did a great job, you know. So most of the time, it's smooth sailing and it's really good. Every now and again, you get that crazy Will Smith moment where they slapped Chris Rock and everyone was like, what the hell just happened? So I will always tune into the Oscars, but we'll get into the awards in one moment. I just wanted to play the clip of the Sinners performance and just the parts that I thought were really, really good. And that boy, Miles Catton, boy, he can sing.
So I want to tell you for a long time, it might hurt you, hope you don't lose your mind. Well, I was just a boy, about 8 years old. You threw me a Bible on that Mississippi road. See, I love you, Papa, you did all you can do. They say the truth hurts, so I lied to you. Well, somebody take me in your arms tonight. Well, somebody take me.
Stand it all, what I've been doing, didn't reach it all.
Somebody take me in your arms tonight.
Oof, what a beautiful performance there. Like, and I think that was Jamie Lawson there who played Pearline in Sinners, and she was like dancing all sexy as hell, and I thought for a moment they were gonna jump into her song for again, pale, pale moon, pale, pale moon, and then I thought they were gonna bring out the freaking Irish jig people, but no, they just stuck to this one song and like that one, you know, crazy scene in the movie. If you guys know, you know. But Miles Catton's voice, man, he really crushes it, and the performance was great. But poor Timothy Chalamet, they bring out the ballerina at the end, and he's sitting front row, and there was a bunch of like ballet and opera shout-outs, like they're like, oh God, the arts are so important, and so is ballet and opera, and they just kind of like looked right at Timmy, and Timmy's just kind of like, fucking Jesus Christ. Poor kid had to deal with those jokes all night, but hey, you put your foot in your mouth and the shit kind of happens, you know? But just to go through the list of winners, the first award of the night went to Best Supporting Actress to Amy Madigan for Weapons, and I believe she's married to Ed Harris, or Ed, yeah, I think that's his name, which I didn't know, but she apparently did a great job in Weapons, and her speech was very cute, and so now that is one of the few projects I have not seen, so I'm gonna have to go check out Weapons. Best Animated Feature Film, I think we all knew this was going to go to K-Pop Demon Hunters. Best Animated Short Film went to a film called The Girl Who Cried Pearls. Interesting, hadn't heard about that. I also, anybody that knows where short films are available, I am not unaware. Are they just on Twitter? Are they on YouTube? Are they streaming somewhere? You know, if I saw it, I probably would have checked it out. I didn't know they were a thing. So anybody that can help your boy out, drop that down in the comment section below for me. But moving on, the best costume design and best makeup and hairstyling, 2 different awards, went to Frankenstein. And the best makeup and hairstyling, right, like best costume design, the costumes, Mia Goth's character, a lot of the outfits, gorgeous outfits. So best costume design, very deserving. But best makeup and hairstyling, apparently Jacob Elordi's for the creature of Frankenstein's monster. He spent over 400 hours in the makeup chair throughout filming. Like, that is nuts. So, I thought maybe Jacob Elordi deserved the nod, but at least Frankenstein got a couple of early awards here, and I was happy for them. And then next was a new award for achievement in casting. So best cast, and that went to One Battle After Another. Could have gone to Sinners. I think maybe Sinners over One Battle, actually. There's more people, better actors that did a better job for longer, where like One Battle is really just like 3 actors for the majority of the screen time. It's like Chase Infinity, Leo, and Sean Penn. Even like Tiana Taylor, she's not in the film very much. She's at the beginning and then she doesn't come back. So it's like, I don't know. And then after the new award, there was the best live action short film, and there was a tie. And apparently this has only happened like 3 times in history. So like they must have done the voting and the numbers came in tied. And they must have came in tied because the 2 projects that won were The Singers and 2 People Exchanging Saliva. And I think 2 People Exchanging Saliva is just too good a title. So they were like, yeah, that has to win. Come on now. But the presentation of that, like Kumail Nanjiani was like, it's a tie, I promise. We're going to bring up one, and then I'm going to come back out and bring up the second, okay? And then they're trying to, like, the second people are trying to give this speech, and they pulled the microphone away from him and like cut away, and they cut to like Conan, like they were gonna walk away, and then they awkwardly stayed on stage, made the microphone come back, finished the speech, and then Conan was like, Jesus, just pulling away from a lowering the microphone away from somebody as they're speaking is just brutal and hilarious. Okay, moving on. There was a couple of funny parts of the show, man. It really was. And that was one of like the weird parts, but it was kind of funny as well. But then Best Supporting Actor went to Sean Penn, and he wasn't even there to get his Oscar. Best Adapted Screenplay, who was presented by Chris Evans and RDJ, went to One Battle After Another and Paul Thomas Anderson. So he got his first Oscar. And then right afterwards, for Best Original Screenplay, this went to Sinners and Ryan Coogler, which of course it should have. And Sinners, Ryan Coogler got his first Oscar as well. And then they did an In Memoriam segment where they did a spot for Rob Reiner and his wife with Billy Crystal. That was devastating. I started crying immediately. Diane Keaton had a spot with, I believe it was Rachel McAdams, Catherine O'Hara she was also talking about, and then Robert Redford had a Barbara Streisand moment at the end that was like devastating. I was in tears. I was like, this is brutal. Like, I'm breaking. But moving on from the In Memoriam, afterwards they came back, they did Best Production Design, and that went to Frankenstein. And at this moment I was like, oh shit, is Frankenstein about to win Best Picture? But no, I got my hopes up too much. Best Visual Effects, of course, went to Avatar Fire and Ash. I think it would be criminal if any Avatar didn't win Best Visual Effects. I mean, it's entirely visual effects. Best Documentary Short Film went to All the Empty Rooms. Best Documentary Feature Film went to Mr. Nobody Against Putin. Best Score went to Ludwig Göransson for Sinners. Best Sound went to F1, which I did predict, by the way. I'm just saying. Best Editing went to One Battle After Another. Maybe Sinners, Maybe F1 could have won Best Editing. Best Cinematography went to a woman who is the cinematographer for Sinners, and she gave a nice speech and was a beautiful speech as well. Brought tears to my eyes. Best International Feature Film went to Sentimental Value over The Secret Agent. Sentimental Value was out of Norway, and that's one of the only films I still need to see. Best Original Song went to Golden. Maybe it could have been I Lied to You, but K-Pop Demon Hunters was huge this year. Best Directing, went to One Battle After Another's Paul Thomas Anderson. I thought it should have gone to Sinners. Best Actor in a Leading Role went to Michael B. Jordan for Sinners. Fuck yeah. I didn't have a Sinners shirt, but I did have a black vampire, so fuck yeah. Michael B. Jordan winning his first Oscar for Sinners, and Ryan Coogler and him both get it, but Best Director went to One Battle, and Best Picture went to One Battle After Another as well, and then Best Leading Actress went to Jessie Buckley for Hamnet, but that was like a foregone conclusion. Everybody knew that one, and I called that one ahead of time too. But 24 total awards. One Battle After Another won 6, Sinners won 4, Frankenstein won 3, K-Pop Demon Hunters won 2, Weapons won 1, F1 won 1, and Hamnet won 1. And movies I still need to watch that I wasn't able to get to are Weapons, Sentimental Value, If I Had Legs I'd Kick You with Rose Byrne and Conan, and K-Pop Demon Hunters. So if you've seen those 4 films and you would recommend them, comment below your thoughts. I'd love to hear them. But, you know, what are Oscars, and poor Sinners should have won Best Picture and Best Director for Ryan Coogler, but they will be back in the future. I would almost guarantee it. But so far, Sinners, throughout the award season, this is the stats they had. They won 4 Oscars, 3 BAFTAs, 2 Grammys, 2 Actors Awards, 2 Golden Globe Awards, an A Cinema Score, 370 million plus grossed worldwide, 4 Critics' Choice Awards, a 97% on Rotten Tomatoes, and one of the best reviewed wide-released films of the decade. And they ultimately deserve it. And, you know, Best Black Director and Actor Duos that have now both won Oscars. Jordan Peele won his back in 2018. Daniel Kaluuya, those two worked together a lot. He won in 21. Denzel won in 89 and 02, and Spike won in 15 and 19. But Ryan Coogler and Michael B. Jordan both won for Sinners. And I just thought it was interesting that, like, those iconic black director and actor duos, and neither of them won for the same film. Like, they worked together and one of them won, the other didn't. But Ryan Coogler and Michael B. Jordan both got acknowledged for the same film. That is how good Sinners is, and just the ultimate shout out to Sinners. Like, I couldn't have loved it more. It was really the perfect film, and in my opinion, the best film of the year. But I would love to hear your thoughts on everything we talked about today. Are you excited for Daredevil Born Again, Superman Man of Tomorrow, the upcoming Scooby Doo live action series, more Avatar The Last Airbender coming in the future? And I'd love to hear all your thoughts on the winners and the 98th Oscar Award winners and everything we talked about here today. Who did you think could have won? Did you think there was any snubs at the Oscars? And maybe for, like, Wumi Osaka, I would have given it to her, but most part, very good Oscars, and I enjoyed it, and I thought Michael B. Jordan and Ryan Coogler deserved more, but at least they got the acknowledgement they deserved, you know? But if you would like to comment down below in the comment section below, like this video, subscribe if you haven't already, or hit that bell so you don't miss future weekly nerdy news. Once again, my name is Big Cam, and I'll see you gorgeous folks in the next video. Peace.